unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Me, but also you. The Pharaoh fast forwards his favorite foreign film, Powder Donut. Okay, what's my line?
The only line I see here on the script is get options based on your budget with the name your price tool from Progressive.
Oh man, that's a tongue twister, huh? I'm sorry, I'm gonna need a few more minutes. Bulbous Walrus, the Bulbous Walrus.
The name your price tool, only from Progressive.
The owl ran afoul of the comatose coxswain.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth. And always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
ChristopherMedia.net.
From Asthmacore Studios near Detroit, Michigan, it's Unregimented.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
And now, here are your hosts.
Oh, it's been a while. Wonder what we'll talk about. Chris?
I'm Aaron.
And for what it's worth, I'm Rich, and we're back.
Yeah.
Holy shit. There's no lack of subject matter.
Yeah. Well, the president's in the hospital.
Okay, so real quick, does this put an end to his QAnon-type supporters saying that this doesn't exist, COVID is a hoax?
No. QAnon reacted to his tweet, the announcement of which came at in our time on the East Coast, it was like 1:00 in the morning Friday. Although we found out today his actual diagnosis was around noon on Wednesday. So he was diagnosed positive, went to his event.
Two events.
Thank you. 2 events. and kept that secret. And we didn't even find out about Hope Hicks from the White House. We found that out from a journalist who had found out. But as far as the QAnon conspiracy stuff, his tweet, the QAnon was taking that somehow, they'll derive whatever meaning they need to. They're like human Ouija boards. And they took that as, this message means that Trump doesn't have coronavirus. He's going to arrest Hillary and then go into lockdown to protect himself against backlash.
How do you fucking connect those dots?
From the Hillary arrest. Well,
wow.
If you're a QAnon believer, then you've already connected enough crazy dots so that it doesn't really matter if it makes a whole picture.
Okay, well, I mean, we are talking about the group that a couple months ago, President Word Salad said something just off the cuff, like in 2 weeks you're going to be shocked. And it was just the most ambiguous, you know how he is. It's just the most ambiguous statement you could make. And they took it to mean that he was going to announce that JFK Jr. was truly alive. He was going to drop Pence as his running mate and bring JFK Jr. in as his running mate, because together they're going to drain the swamp and bring integrity back to the country. And I was like, how are you pulling from someone who died in a plane crash over 20 years ago? And he's the son of one of the most famous presidents ever.
That was a Democrat.
Hey, do you think if he's been kicking around for 21 years, no one would have saw him?
He's hanging out with Tupac. They're on that island together.
Yeah, that would be a hard person to keep a low profile. Huh?
Every morning they go to the 7-Eleven that Elvis works at. Or wait, wasn't it a Burger King?
Yeah, in Kalamazoo. Yeah. Did you ever run into Elvis, by the way?
No, and I lived by that Burger King, too.
Hey, wait a minute. You said Hope Hicks has the COVID?
Yeah.
That was the first announcement. Right? We found out what it was like Wednesday night or Thursday morning that Hope Hicks had. And again, that wasn't an announcement from the White House or the president. That was reporting that had found that out. The White House is trying to keep that under wraps. So now we find out Trump and his wife have it. The most recent announcement this morning, as we're recording this on Saturday, is that Chris Christie has it.
Kellyanne Conway has it. I saw that on Twitter.
Kellyanne Conway, Senator Mike Lee,
Ronna McDaniel,
Senator Tom Tillis. Are you seeing a pattern here?
Yeah, the head of the RNC's got it. Yeah.
Trump's campaign manager has it.
Yeah.
I would just like to say one thing real quick. Hope Hicks, on the off chance you're listening to this or someone who knows her that's listening to this, if you have a very sore throat due to COVID, I have an all-natural elixir. It's never worked, but it's never stopped me from trying to spread it as much as I can. So I would like to offer it.
Yeah, coating the throat relieves the pain.
I would like to offer my services to you free of charge, just so you know. Okay, we can move on.
Well, you know how he's going to spin this, right? He's going to get over it, and he's going to no big deal. I can just watching the guy for 4 years. You know that's what he's going to do. I had it, no big deal.
If you're expecting QAnon or hardcore Trump supporters to change their view due to this announcement that he has the infection, that's not going to happen. Well, I mean, does this, as far as him trying to win over any new voters or undecided voters, or try and shave some of that advantage that Biden has on him, this is probably the worst case scenario for his campaign.
Yeah, because it's at a standstill for 2 weeks.
He will always spin it.
Yeah.
You know, the president is going to get the best care in the fucking world, and he's going to be fine. The president is not going to die from this, so he's going to stay quarantined. He's not going to let anyone see him be really sick, and then he's going to come out of this and say, "See, look, it's not that big of a deal. I didn't die."
Yeah, and by the way,
and the hoax isn't that the coronavirus isn't real. It's that when Trump supporters talk about the virus as a hoax, they talk about the hyping up of the dangers of coronavirus. They're saying that's a hoax. There's not any serious people out there saying that this virus doesn't actually exist.
And if you thought he was saying China virus before, just wait.
Well, I agree with you. There's no serious people saying it doesn't exist, but I am kind of shocked because, what is it, 4 or 5 months ago when we were doing a daily show, the show daily, I should say. That way we don't, have Comedy Central. And this is cease and desist.
Daily show, no TM.
Yeah. And I was like, what happens if Trump gets it? Aaron, you brought up and you laid it out. You're like, oh, we'll never know. He'll never admit he has it. And I was like, you know what? You're right, because he's that type of ass. He's that type of asshole. He made fun of Hillary Clinton for getting sick on the campaign trail and said anybody who gets sick is weak.
He was making fun of Joe Biden for wearing his mask too often at the debate.
Yeah, he did the biggest mask I've ever seen.
Which, for what it's worth,
I don't know what that means.
The next day Biden was wearing the paper surgical mask in his TV appearance.
I don't know, but isn't that what you're supposed? Isn't that an M95 or whatever?
But his big black face mask was not on the next day. For what it's worth.
Oh, okay, I got you. All
he's like, my mask's too big. No, failed joke. Anyway,
Jesus Christ, he's got bigger issues to worry about than that fucking mask. But that's beside the point.
I think that. This happening right now, a month before the election, changes this as far as I still don't believe that they would, in normal circumstances, reveal that the president was infected if it wasn't for the fact that they would have to explain where the fuck he was.
Yeah, for 2 weeks.
Over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Earlier on in the year, they might have been able to get away with that. That being said, I mean, if we didn't find out from reporting that Hope Hicks was infected, I don't know that we would have this full reveal. I don't know. I mean, the way that it spread, it had to have gotten out eventually. But, yeah.
Well, I mean, at this point, it's okay, whatever. You have it. So many people have... I mean, I know you're not a sports guy, but, I mean, it's starting to run like wildfire through the NFL.
Is it?
I mean, we're not talking like
it seemed like they were handling it really well at the opening of the season.
Well, right now, one team's got it.
Hockey and basketball are the ones that handled it the best.
Yeah, because they did a bubble.
Yeah, exactly. Once you come in the bubble, till you're eliminated from playoffs, you don't leave. Baseball, they had a whole team. They had to play 11 doubleheaders, and they were only playing 60 games. So, I mean, they canceled 11 games. A week and almost 2 weeks worth of games, and we're like, play doubleheaders to get in your 60. I mean, that's ridiculous, and all because, well, this is a rumor. It's a rumor, but that one of the players flew in at some Instagram model for a little, slap and tickle and get some stank on his down low. And, yeah, she, apparently didn't just give him the herp or the HIV. Yeah, gave the vid. So it's like well, there you go. And boom, that quick. So I mean, it's and there's been a lot of people that have actually had it that we've forgotten about. I mean, one of the first people announced he had it was fucking oh shit,
Tom Hanks.
I know it. Well, Tom Hanks. Everybody knows Tom Hanks, and then it's because for some reason Tom Hanks is now a pedophile to the super duper. There's alien pedophile rings drinking blood and adrenochrome people. He's like one of the leaders of it. So
he's known as a pedophile amongst people who have no grip on reality.
Yeah, pretty much. If anything, if they were like, now Tom Hanks is asexual, I'm like, now that I can believe. Like seriously, I can kind of believe that he's just like, I just like making movies and playing a nice guy, and I don't even really beat my meat that much. It's just it's crazy. But no, Idris Elba. I was about to say Stringer Bell.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he did.
I mean, and The Rock, his whole family, him. I mean, like, there's been quite a few people who, Alyssa Milano, she seems to have gone off the deep end, but that's a whole nother story. I mean, literally,
she did say that she was showing some restraint and saying that she wasn't going to gloat over the president being sick.
Well, that's fine, but everything that she said that shit was happening to her because of COVID was, and I'm sorry, Alyssa, you are getting to this age, sweetheart, could be due. Oh, sorry about that. I don't know what that was. I don't know if you guys heard that. Could be due to
it's the lizard people coming for you.
Yeah. Okay. Come on, motherfuckers.
There's some men in black suits at the front door, Rich. They're asking for you.
It's the wrong house to try to run up in like that. Let me just tell you that. I ain't living with Aaron no more. This ain't a peaceful house.
I'm not just going to be able to throw a cat at you.
No. We'll send the cats out first. They're the ones with fucking bolt-action rifles. You know what I'm saying? We give the dogs the semi-automatics, and, we got the fully automatics back here. But no, I'm like, it could have been menopause. She's talking about, like she was talking about her estrogen levels and like all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's called menopause, bitch. That's not COVID.
Didn't you say your hair was falling out?
Yes. Like all these things that happen that I watched every woman in my family go through a menopause. I mean, it sounds like she got a really horrible case. Of going through menopause, but
there's another factor, obviously, in all those examples that if I'm remembering correctly. Those are all healthy, fit people.
I would guess. I know Idris Elba's got to be healthy because
I think he's in the dictionary next to healthy.
Yeah,
like they just have his picture. So, the Trump was admitted to Walter Reed. He was flown in by helicopter. We saw him. He wasn't like on a stretcher or anything, but we also know that he was administered oxygen last night, Friday night, and before his trip to Walter Reed. And we expect to know, I guess there's going to be an announcement, an update on his health tomorrow morning.
See, the only thing I can say about that oxygen stuff is that I've been in the hospital a handful of times, and the most non-serious one was for a hernia surgery, and I was on oxygen. I think they just don't. Now, if they intubate him, that's bad. You know what I'm saying?
No, you're right. The oxygen doesn't. The oxygen could have just been something to give him a boost. He probably wanted to make that walk to Marine One looking confident.
Exactly.
He's not going to make that trip, make it looking like he's sick.
Yeah.
He's got 50 feet to prove to the American people that he's not dying. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, here, take some oxygen, have a vitamin B12 shot or something. Whatever the fuck they could pump them up with that would just keep them going and looking normal for the time being.
But I also think, though, any president is going to Walter Reed. If this were any president getting COVID, like they're taking you there just because.
Yeah. I kind of think if it would have been like, let's just say Hillary was president. I think she'd have been there before now. I think he probably was like, don't take me till you need to. Till my doctor says, not just the government doctor, my doctor and the government doctor say I need to go. Because he's that type of guy. I mean, dude, he thinks that people who, what is it? You only have a finite amount of energy per day. So basically per life.
Yeah, like we have an energy bar, like we're all playing in a video game.
Exactly, yeah. And when your energy's gone, well, that's it. And he's got a big, long energy bar. He's got the biggest you've ever seen. It's huge. Except for the only thing bigger than his energy bar, apparently, Joe Biden's mask. But I just look. Here's the deal. And I'm going to pivot a little bit, but there's nothing about Donald Trump before he was elected or before he threw his hat into the political ring that made me like care about the man. And I damn sure know the man don't give a fuck about me because I'm not going to worship at his feet, and I don't have any money to give him, and he can't make any money off me. So I know he don't give a fuck about me. So he can live forever, die right now. I don't care. I really don't give a shit. This is not a politician who, to me, is a person worth even worrying about whether he's going to live or die or a person worrying about whether he's going to live or die besides the fact that he's president. And then, oh God, we have President Pence to deal with.
Yeah.
Which I don't even want to think about. Like, we'll do a special. If Trump dies, we'll do a President Pence special.
Well, I don't know. I certainly don't hope that the president dies because I really don't hope that anyone dies.
Except for Rush Limbaugh.
I guess I did express that at one time. I did, didn't I?
Well, I don't know if you were like going, I hope you die slow, motherfucker. We're more just like, haha, karma's a bitch, ain't it? Like,
Well, there is definitely an element of that with the Trump diagnosis, but if I'm being honest with myself, I do want him to suffer. I want this to be hard for him. He'll never admit it if it was. And I don't think that this is going to be his Grinch moment where his heart finally opens up and he sees a light. But I would feel better if he just suffered some because he's brought so much suffering upon other people that I think he deserves it. I honestly do. And I don't think of that as a schadenfreude or anything. I don't think that's me being uncouth. I think it's just if he suffers from this.
See, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, I just don't. I'm like, I think a lot of this is fucking hysteria. Like, if you sit down and you look at Trump's record, I'm like, how is he this much different than fucking any other Republican that's been in office? I mean, let's be honest here, because and take away the fucking media narrative of he's never said anything condemning white supremacists. That's absolute bullshit. I just watched a video compilation of him doing just that thing today. Now, unless you're going to claim it's a deep fake, it's bullshit. He's done it. What more do you fucking want the man to do? He's a fucking conservative playing to his base. You expect him to go out there and fucking support abortion? I mean, it's not how this game is played. We all should know that by now. We're adults. So, I mean, like, this whole, like, oh my God, Trump's in the White House. Yeah, and I mean,
well, I think isn't coronavirus a perfect example, though? I mean, we're seeing it unfold right in front of us. All these conservatives getting infected because they're refusing to wear masks and take proper precautions because it's going to make them look weak to their electorate, and now they're getting infected. So we've seen evidence that the Democrats are handling coronavirus better. So. I know you could never put a number on it, but to me that translates to, while I'm not saying that if Hillary was in office, we wouldn't have coronavirus. I'm saying we would have less deaths from coronavirus.
Well, no, and I absolutely, and here is where I really hope that asteroid that's going to pass close to Earth the day before the election, just God gives it a little, and it just comes into us and just takes care of this problem. Because the same people who go, well, my Republican Party leaders won't wear a mask, so that means I won't wear a mask, are the same people that if Hillary was in office, they would go, well, Hillary's wearing a mask, I'm not wearing a mask. You're going to do what you're going to do anyways. I mean, literally here in Michigan had people filed a lawsuit against our governor saying she overstepped her bounds with the executive orders. And the Michigan Supreme Court, or the highest judge in the Michigan Supreme Court, whatever, I'm not even going to front and act like I have a law degree. But they basically ruled with her. Now, I don't know if it goes to a federal court from here, probably, because nothing is ever settled at the state level. But
no, wait, the Supreme Court said that she didn't have any authority past April 30th to enact any...
To keep extending via executive order, yes.
Yes.
That's what and they filed, yes, you're right, because they filed the lawsuit in May. And it is just now getting to the state Supreme Court. And actually, from what NPR said, unless their fucking shit's messed up, it actually went in front of a federal judge, and he sent it back down to the Michigan State Supreme Court and said, I want you to handle this at the state level first.
Oh, okay.
Which would probably mean they want to give this fucking case due diligence. That way no one can claim they're cutting corners. There's no fuckery going on behind the curtain, even though there always is. But I mean, they're celebrating. The same day, they're like, "Yay, we
I don't
won."
know what there is to celebrate. I think that's we should have. This is why we have different branches of government for this type of check. When one branch goes overreaches, there's two other branches to put a check on it. So if our governor is overreaching, that's what the courts are there for.
Well, my point is, why are they
and let's determine that. If the courts determine that, I may not agree with the overall outcome, but if that's because I don't think that we see eye to eye on coronavirus, me and Michigan Republicans. But if we're talking about just checking the power of the governor, the process is fine. Whatever the outcome is, it is.
Well, to me, I'm like, isn't there an irony, or is it just a lack of self-awareness on these people's parts that you're celebrating a ruling that's not the final ruling, by the way? It's a step towards the final ruling.
And did the ruling get rid of the virus?
On the day your god emperor comes down with the fucking virus that she was making these executive fucking orders about.
Yeah.
Are you oblivious to your surroundings?
Yeah, you won the lawsuit. Virus is still here.
If you want to celebrate anything, celebrate the fact that your democracy still works in some fashion. I mean, to celebrate this as a win implies that you think that there was no reason for any protections at all. And that's not what's really being argued. We know that we have to do something to fight coronavirus. The question is, are our governor and other governors going too far in what they're doing? And you have to put that in perspective of not just what we're currently dealing with. You have to apply those powers that the governors are using to any situation and determine how much power do you want your governors to have. I think it's a process that we need to. It's basically what the Trump presidency has revealed to us. How effective are the checks from other branches of government, and how much do we let our president accumulate power? How much power do we want any president, not Donald Trump? How much power do we want any president to have?
See, that's yes. And once again, I'm not speaking as a legal expert. I'm just saying I listened to one legal expert on NPR. Let's be honest. NPR doesn't even try to hide that they hate Trump anymore. I mean, so it's like, well, could this affect Trump negatively? And he was like, no, because this is based on the Michigan State Constitution. This is a ruling about the governor of the state of Michigan. This is not a ruling that is setting a precedent to where they can go after Trump and his executive orders. If you want to do that, you have to do that at the federal level. You can't do that at the state level. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I knew that, and I'm not a lawyer. Like, now, and I'm like, so once again, like the people that are the right wingers who are cheering, well, your God Emperor come down with the vid the same day that you want to, you're wanting to celebrate because, Stretch and Gretchen kept us locked down too much, in your opinion. But I mean, our numbers we did flatten the curve, didn't we? I mean, we went from one of the worst hotspots in the country to, well, apparently we're starting to have a uptick in the UP, but I don't know if that's just because finally it's starting to work its way up there after summer of people going up north and not following precautions. Let's put it that way. Because I mean, I still see.
It's actually that's not just in Michigan. Wisconsin is seeing a pretty big uptick. There's a lot of northern states that are probably being affected by both people starting to, whether it's just through exhaustion of following all the precautions, or they just don't believe that they should be doing any of these things. Plus, they are now spending more time indoors because of the weather's starting to get colder.
Colleges, too.
The colleges are helping. Yep.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I can tell you this, I don't know what you guys see, but I'm pretty much at least 5-6 days a week out and about, running around. Businesses who used to be, nope, got to have that mask on. Sorry, I don't care. I'm not being fined. I'm not being, having someone have some Karen in here, get pissed off, call the cops. You leave. Now there's nothing the cops can do to you, but then come in here and fine me because this bitch has been sitting there waiting for him going, I saw it. They let someone here without a mask. That's how it used to be, even just a few months ago, month ago. Now, no one gives a fuck. Everyone's acting like the shit's over. Now, granted, this was before yesterday. I don't know I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of a bump of people going, oh shit, Trump has it? Maybe this shit is a little bit more serious than I fucking thought. Like, I thought it was on the outs. And then you guys just, I didn't know about everybody. I knew that Trump's inner circle was starting to test positive. But then I'm such a smartass. I'm like, well, the only reason that Trump's inner circle tests positive is because we're testing them. Stop testing them and you won't have positive tests. So, but that's just me. But I don't know, man. It's real fun. Like, I have friends who are very conservative about a lot of things, but when it comes to this shit, they're not fucking around. Then I have friends who are very liberal about things, but then they're like, this is all bullshit, man. I don't care. If I get it and, okay, I get 2 weeks off and the government pays me. All right. And I'm just like, this doesn't make any sense. The people that you figure would take it serious aren't. The people that don't take it serious, you figure they would. It's almost like we flip-flopped from, March of this year. And I think...
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's what Aaron said, is that people are starting to get just like, oh, my God, I'm tired of this. Can we go back to fucking some semblance of normal?
Trust me, I'm with you. It's just... I hate my mask with my glasses because I can never fucking see. And
thank you. Thank you, yeah.
But I just think that the answer's somewhere in the middle, because I'm still hearing of stories of people in the media that are still living like we were in March, and then there's people that are living like it never even happened. The answer's somewhere in the middle right now, I believe. Because I've done a ton of shit, and I just wear your mask. I've been in restaurants. I've traveled. I've gone like... grocery stores, all this and that. Just wear your fucking mask. I don't bunch up indoors. I don't go around people I don't fucking know. I try to not to. But who knows, right?
I'll say this. I do think there is, at least on a very layman level, something that I've heard that makes sense is, what is the point of walking into a restaurant with a mask, walking 7 feet with it on, and then sitting down and taking it off?
Yeah. Or there's a news story about what some of the Metro Detroit area restaurants are doing. And they showed a picture of an outdoor seating area that was enclosed by a clear dome. Just looked like a big, huge jungle gym. And I'm like, what? So you've gone outside, but then you built another small house to put everybody in. So how does that make any difference? Right? Now you're in an even more enclosed area than if you were in a proper restaurant with ventilation.
Yeah.
That's worse.
It reminds me of the meme of the guy in the pool who's pouring water over his head from a water bottle. It's like, what? Yeah. If you want your head to be wet, duck down. You're in a pool. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
If you want to eat inside, go eat inside.
Unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net.
And now a game of Commercial Chicken, brought to you by Progressive, where we see how long Flo can go without talking about insurance. Ready? Go.
So the weather is just all over the place lately, right? One day it's hot, and the next day it's windy for a while. It's like, make up your mind already. Drivers who switch to Progressive could save big.
Okay, you win. We can't help but save customers money. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth. And always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
If I learned one thing from this great game of baseball, it's that she'll humble you. You think you've got it figured out, you check the standings, and you're in last place again. I'm Eric Rubino, Fantasy Baseball GM, and I can put my team in position to win every single time, but I can't play the games, people. At least Progressive's Name Your Price tool has options based on my budget. It never lets me down, unlike my pitching staff. Amateurs!
Get options based on your budget with Progressive, even if you're not a legend in your own mind. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth. And always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Unregimented.
Well, I mean, look, here's maybe this is just cold-hearted to me, or whatever it is, what it is. I don't give a shit. I don't care if he lives or dies. My only care if he dies is how much turmoil is that going to throw into this election. Is there any possible way the Republicans can pull their fuckery card out from the bottom of the deck, play that bitch, and be like, well, this means we need to postpone the election?
Right. Well, I think, pre-Trump and in our discussions of politics, we would talk a lot about traditions, and we would have, we've always done it this way. This is what the Constitution means. These are the restrictions of the office of the president. This is what everyone, Republican or Democrat, believes in how our system works. And all that's been thrown out the window because we realize none of that's actually been tested through the system. So our answers now as to what happens if Trump gets, incapacitated, is on a ventilator, if Pence has to take over, if he dies, if Pence is president, we don't know any of that shit because none of that shit's been tested, and we don't have any tradition to fall back on.
I think it would be, it was 1963.
Well, yeah, that's the closest, and that was a couple weeks after Election Day. Like, it had already happened.
Yeah.
Well, no, 63 was, I'm thinking November
it was the year before, yeah. Duh.
They weren't really campaigning that far out like they do now.
It's true.
Now the shit starts like a year and a half ahead of time. You know what I'm saying? Like where everybody throws their hat in the ring, and that's why you have 25 people running for president from the party who's not up for re-election. And then we whittle them down over that, 6 months, and then year we whittle it down, and then 6 months out we pretty much know who we're going to have. So that's the only thing I can think of. But I mean, to me it's pretty cut and dry. Trump either is incapacitated, brain dead, or dead. Pence, your president. Unless you do an LBJ and say, I'm not running for president, which to me, that's what, if he does that, that's what could gum the works up. Because now what do we do a month out?
I think the bigger fear is that the transfer of power to Pence would possibly postpone the election.
Not only postpone, but that's what I'm saying. Like, Pence could be like, okay, I'm president, I understand that, but I'm not, I inherited that. I'm not going to run for president in 2020. So
I can
what is
see
the
that
Republican
happening because I don't see Pence running for any office in the future. Like this is his last goodbye.
And to me, one of two things would happen at that point. The Democrats would reach down and realize those things between their legs aren't just for show, and they realize they got balls, and they go, well, the election is the first Tuesday in November, and we're not postponing it. And if you don't fucking put a candidate up there to vote for, then it's going to be real simple. It's going to be a Biden-Jorgensen runoff. There you go. And by the way, if you gum the works up, January 21st, 2021, Nancy Pelosi takes over.
Yeah.
So what do you want? What do you want, Republicans?
That's true.
Balls in your court. So, but I mean, let's be honest here. And once again, I'm pivoting a little bit, but this is something that, this has pissed me off. Seriously, I thought there was about to be a misunderstanding. Some furniture was going to get moved with a very close conservative friend of mine when him and I were talking about this shit, the whole Supreme Court shit. And I'm like, well, we already, hey, got to wait till after the election. We've already decided that. And then she wasn't even dead an hour. And that cocksucking motherfucking piece of shit McConnell comes out and goes, well, no matter who Trump puts up, we're going to make sure they get through before the election. You cocksucker. I swear to God, we need to cut that motherfucker's throat and drink his blood right now. I'm not even joking. Fuck him and fuck anyone who supports that asshole. That cocksucker was leading the charge against Obama with Merrick Garland. Oh. And that was what? How many fucking days out? 200 and some?
Yep.
And then I bring up how many, and then, well, you've had 3 Supreme Court nominees who were approved in less than 45 days. Really? Under what circumstances? That's what I want to know. And by the way, is that the outlier? Because if those are the outlier cases and the average is like 190 days, then why are we rushing it right now? When we had 250 fucking days, almost a goddamn full fucking year, 2/3 of a year, and the Republicans said, no, we're going to act like he didn't even fucking nominate him.
Sorry. I'm going to sound close to defending these assholes. It's a game and they're playing it, and they have the advantage right now. They control the Senate.
Well, if you really want to get down to it, someone needs to go up to Biden and backhand the shit out of him and be like, that's for opening your fucking mouth in the 90s and opening up Pandora's box. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, what's he to forget about that?
But he's the one that opened that fucking Pandora's box up because, as far as I know, there was never even an utterance of we will not even have a hearing because it's an election year. I've never heard of that before. Biden brought it up. And McConnell made sure to bring up Mitch McConnell made sure to bring up plenty. And it's the Biden rule. It's the Biden rule. It's the Biden rule. Okay, well, guess what?
Yeah.
He's a fucking idiot. We'll get to his idiocy later. But what the fuck? Okay, so we have to adhere to it in 2016. Now all of a sudden we don't now? For what reason? Well, the game's the game. Okay, well, if we're that gangster, then how about we start playing the game like we're in the streets and start killing motherfuckers who fucking step out of line? As long as no taxpayers, no citizens get hurt, game's the game, right? It's all in the game, yo. You got the briefcase, we got the shotguns. They laid it out in the wire. Don't give me this. They're playing the game shit. They're changing the rules on the fucking fly.
What? They ain't changing rules.
And they're fucking hypocrites.
They're hypocrites, yeah, but they didn't change any rules. They're just hypocrites.
They absolutely changed the rules in 2016.
How? They just swatted it down.
The fucking Senate to say, we're not even going to fucking meet on this motherfucker for 250 some days.
But didn't they meet on it and then they just swatted it down?
I believe you're correct, Chris. There was no actual rule change. They were just presenting it as like this is tradition, even though they've, with Trump, as we said earlier, they've thrown all tradition out.
They're just giant
They can still
hypocrites.
claim it when it suits them. McConnell's defense in all of this has been when a Republican Congress was elected under Obama, it was elected with the purpose of being a check against a Democratic president. In this case, a Republican Congress was elected to be a support to a Republican president.
How about Democrats? Can you fire up your base to take back the Senate or what? Like, remember, these people are elected. They're not appointed. These are senators. You can vote them out. Every 6 years?
That's what I was reading. I'm going to see if I can look this up because I saved the story and it was such a great quote. But it was an article that was interviewing Trump supporters in light of, the recent announcement of him being infected. And so they spoke with Sean Patterson. This is in The Guardian. Sean Patterson is not worried that Donald Trump has been hospitalized with coronavirus because he believes what the president tells him. It's a hoax. This is a quote from Sean. It's a hoax. There's no pandemic. As Trump said, how many millions die of flu?
This guy said this like today?
56-year-old truck driver outside the early voting station. Yeah, this is today.
Not like in February.
And so the article says, but then Patterson pauses and contemplates the possibility that Trump really does have COVID. Here's his second quote. If he's sick, then they planted it when they tested him.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Who is this?
Who is this saying this?
A Trump voter.
Oh, just a random Trump voter.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's what they did to me when I went to the hospital for my heart beating too fast. 2 weeks later, I got a cold. Yeah, and they gave it to you on purpose. He goes on to say, it's political. I don't trust the U.S. government at all. Who are they to mandate personal safety? I listen to Trump. Now, how does that...
Wait, he's a truck driver, right?
Those are two contradictory thoughts in the same phrase, right?
Be careful with the truck driver shit. I'm just saying.
No, but I'm saying he's talking about nobody's saying who are they to mandate safety? Like, you're a truck
people
driver,
that you elected.
Right?
No, but who are they to mandate safety? They are the people that were elected by the people to mandate safety, among other things.
Well, I'm just saying,
that's their job.
There's probably a million federal rules he has to follow for his job. I think that's hilarious.
Sure.
You would say that.
Well, by the way, I think it's funny. I don't trust the government. I trust Trump.
Yeah.
He's the head of the fucking government.
Right. You elected Trump to do what you wanted him to do. You elected Congress, you elected your representatives, you elected all these people. You have a fucking choice, and that's where they get their power from.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Asteroid, please.
And somehow the Senate still keeps getting the Republican majority. I don't understand that. Is it because they're held in off years? Because the senators have 6-year terms, right?
Yeah.
Senators are 6, Congress 2. Yeah.
No, I think as much as every liberal is going to want a Democrat in office, and vice versa for the conservatives. But I think the best working system, and maybe most people understand this, is a Democratic president and a Republican Congress to keep them in check.
I mean,
that's part of the reason why we were successful under Obama.
I know that there were, oh shit. I know a lot of people in argument, are we successful? But that's beside the point. I get what you're saying, but I just want to go back to Supreme Court thing for a second. I understand there's 9 judges, okay?
Yeah.
Ideally, you want 4 from the conservative side of the spectrum, 4 from the liberal side of the spectrum, and 1 centrist. Ideally, in my mind, or 3,
yes,
3, and 3. But you want to balance. If it's a teeter totter, you want it to be balanced when they're all standing on it. Okay, that way no far left or right ideology can take hold and set precedents that's going to take us fucking decades to either recover from or strike down. Sadly, I have to agree with Trump on this from the debate. When they were like, people say I'm trying to pack the Supreme Court. Joe, would you pack the Supreme Court? Of course he fucking would if he had his chance. Hillary would have if she was elected. If this shit played out just like it had with Trump, with Hillary in office, she would have packed the Supreme Court. That's the problem here. The Supreme Court is not politics. The Supreme Court is supposed to look at law and the Constitution and apply it, not ideology.
Yeah, we have a whole that is what the process of confirming Supreme Court judges is to make sure that their decisions are not going to be guided by ideology or politics.
I mean, no, I will say I am kind of shocked by some of the rulings that Trump's people, his people he's put in so far, they're kind of centrist rulings compared to what I thought would come down to, like from what I thought would come out of them.
But one judge could change all that.
Boom, right there. Exactly.
I will say, though, the one reason that they're giving that they need to get this judge through that I do kind of agree with is saying that, look, the election is going to be in play. The election is going to be in front of the Supreme Court this year. We got to have 9 judges. I do agree with that. Like, we're all on the same page with this. That election is not going to be over November 4th.
We know it's not because of the way that they have to count the ballots. But it's only going to the Supreme Court if it's close. And the Supreme Court has to do something like, say, stop recounting.
2000 part 2.
I just think whoever wins, it's going to that court.
This is my gut feeling.
They'll figure it out.
Gut feeling.
I don't know. Wait a minute, because if Trump loses, if Biden wins in a landslide, then Trump doesn't have a case strong enough to get to the Supreme Court.
I'm sure they'll find one.
No, you have, because cases don't just go like Rich was talking about what happened in Michigan. It goes through a series of courts. If the higher court makes a decision on it, that ruling stands. If they refuse to hear it, the lower court ruling stands.
All right.
Yeah, because there's Supreme Court cases that especially in the 80s, there was a lot of head scratching at why did they take this case but not this one? Like seriously, like Falwell versus Flint. That made it to the Supreme Court. Yet other landmark cases didn't.
Trump can bring up whatever suit he wants. People can sue anybody for any reason. Is your case strong enough to just pass muster to actually get a judge to hear it? That's the real question. It's not about whether Trump is going to file suit and try and fight it no matter what the results. I fully believe that. But is his case going to be strong enough to actually get to the Supreme Court to have them make a decision? I only see that happening in a case where we are recounting key states. And it's a really close margin. It's between the two electorates, and it's within the margin of error for counting.
Well, I mean, I got to give it to you, Aaron. I have to admire your apparent confidence in the fact that you really think Biden's going to win. My gut. I'm not talking about personal.
Oh, I'm only saying if, but I still believe that strongly. But
personal feelings completely removed from the situation. Just my gut feeling. I think Trump's going to win the popular vote. I think he's going to win. I think there's going to be a whole hell of a lot of violence afterwards because I think there's a lot of people right now who are either afraid, don't feel like talking about their support for Trump, whatever reason, and they're just going to be like, I'm going to go in that fucking booth, pull that curtain, and go for Trump. And there's nothing you can do about it because it's the one time they can do something without being called an istophobe or having the fucking the Twitterati come after them, and they can be like, there you go. And there's going to be, believe me, I've thought this. I've ran into such obnoxious fucking so-called progressives who aren't really progressive whatsoever that I'm like, I almost want to vote straight Republican just to nullify your vote. That's how petty you make me want to be with your bullshit.
Well, I think the folly in that thinking is that Trump is the major factor in this election, right? So we take traditional prediction modeling and polling and all that, and it lets us down in 2016. And so we go, well, what was the factor here? Trump. We didn't even see Trump as being a potential candidate. And now he's the president, so that upends everything. And so now we're trying to take the lessons from 2016 and apply that to the election in 2020, when the election in 2020 isn't a replaying of 2016. It's a very different election, especially for Trump. He is now running as an incumbent. He now has to prove that not only is he going to do something in the future, he's not running on possibilities. He's running on what he's done, and what he's done doesn't look like much.
I don't.
No, I know.
If you ask some of his vocal supporters, he's done everything he said he's going to do with his little checklist.
Yes, but those aren't the ones. Hardcore Trump supporters are not the ones determining this election. That's his base.
Hardcore Trump supporters, hardcore Biden supporters. I don't give a fuck. Both of them could have got on that debate stage and sacrificed a baby and fucked the corpse, split roasted the corpse with their dicks, and neither of them would have fucking changed their mind. Both would have been. I'm still Trump. I'm still Biden. That's just how that goes. Here's the thing. And once again, I'm sorry, but we have to talk about this fucking abortion of I don't know if it was an abortion or a stewed tomato because they look just exactly alike. That fucking debate. To me, I saw nothing that if I'm an undecided voter, tells me either of these men deserve my vote. And yes, you have to earn a vote. You're not entitled to a vote. You have to earn it. You are being hired to do a job. If you walk into a job interview and act like that and get the job, don't plan on collecting fucking a pension from that company because it ain't going to be around long enough.
Right. Well, I think the important thing to take away from the debate is that Biden probably didn't lose any voters and Trump probably didn't gain any voters from their performance.
Oh, no. The hardcore Biden people I know, well, first of all, the hardcore
and those,
Biden
but those are the important thing. Like,
and then the Trump supporters are like, he won. And then everyone else is like, this is where we're at as a country.
Well, in that respect, if Biden gains none and Trump loses none, then Biden wins. Biden won the debate in my mind. I mean, if we're actually talking about, a debate as a debate, both of them failed. All three of the people on that stage failed in actually having a confident debate.
Oh, remember? I can't remember the last time we did a show because, well, life.
August 1st.
2020. Oh, Jesus, it's been that long. But I said I would almost welcome a virtual debate because I told you guys what Trump did was what he was going to do. He's going to constantly talk over everybody. And unless that fucking moderator has a way to go, shut up for 2 minutes. Go ahead, Mr. Biden. And I mean, now that the precedent's been set, if Trump even fucking clears his throat during if there's any more debates, let's just preface this statement with that. Mm-hmm. And it is a town hall, which is the next one was supposed to be scheduled one like that. If Trump even clears his throat during Biden talking, Biden's going to take it as fuck you. Now I'm fucking stepping on you when it's your turn to talk, because that's how low the bar has been lowered by fucking Trump. We are playing grade school. I swear to God, it's like being at, I could name them, but I don't want to put them on blast. Both of you have met this family, and I'm friends with the whole family. It's like being at their house on Christmas. Everybody's drunk, and whoever yells the loudest and voice gives out last wins the argument. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm having flashbacks to every holiday I spent with this family. Like, seriously.
The debate taught me I want to learn more about Kanye's policies.
Thank you. What's Joe Jorgensen really got to say about some things?
How's Kanye on trade?
I'll tell you what. You know what? I kind of wish they'd have shook hands now if they both had COVID, because at that point we can be like, well, if they both keel over, we get a restart.
Everybody wins.
We get a redo. We can try this again. Tulsi, Yang, what you doing? What you got planned for the next 4 years?
Well, no doubt that the perception of what makes a good debater has been moved. That Overton window has been shifted way over by Trump. Because just think about what we've seen in the past, like Al Gore losing a debate because he sighed.
It's not even been moved.
Howard
over.
Dean losing his whole campaign because he raised his voice.
Because of the weird noise. Yeah.
But it's not even the Overton window has been moved. It's been dragged down into the pit of hell.
Yeah.
And it's down there in like the eighth circle of Dante's Inferno.
Well, so Biden called Trump a clown, a fool. He did things that in normal debates in the past would have been like, oh, he lost his composure, he went too low, he's not respectable. I mean, these would be career enders in the past.
Can you imagine Michael Dukakis telling George Bush to shut up?
Man, would you shut up?
I watched, watching the debate. I was like, well, hey, Biden's doing his best to fight back against this verbal bully that he's got to spar with.
No, absolutely.
It didn't bother me at all, really.
That's the Biden supporter. I mean, like we're talking, I'm talking hardcore, and I don't even really know if it's Biden. It's just anybody but Trump type people. But they're like, you know what? Fuck it. You can't fight. Sometimes you got to fight fire with fire.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if that's where he's going to take it, no matter what, and he's not even going to respect the rules that are established before the debate is started, then why the fuck should the other side? What?
Well, rules that should have worked in his favor, actually. Trump constantly stepping on Biden and not allowing him to fully answer a question worked in Biden's favor, especially when he had actual difficult questions about his son Hunter and his involvement with Russia and all that stuff. I mean, that was a chance for Biden to do whatever, be strong on it, blow it off, have a stance on it. But instead, he tried to mutter through a response while Trump stepped all over him and gave him an out to just throw his hands up. Biden to throw his hands up and say, I can't even talk to this guy. So he could. Trump's constant interruptions prevented either Trump or Chris from being able to put any real hardcore questions to Biden.
Both of them set up honeypots for the other one to fall to step in.
No.
And they both did to an extent. The ones that Biden stepped in was when Trump brought up, so you're not for socialism? You're not for the Bernie plan of healthcare? And he goes,
when they're talking about the Green New Deal?
And you're not for the Green New Deal? And he goes,
right.
No, I'm not. I'm for the Biden deal. And he goes, you just lost the far left, Joe. And he probably did. He probably lost some far left people when he actually said that. Just like when Matthews was like, will you denounce white supremacists? And he's like, of course I will. What do you want me to say? What do you want me to call them? And then Biden was like, just denounce them. Just denounce them. Just denounce them. That's all you have to say.
It's not hard. And if somebody puts words in your mouth and says, repeat these words, then they are meaningless. How, in your own words, Mr. President, just say, I denounce white supremacy.
And look,
and say it like we all, like you believe it. That's all you need to do.
I'm not defending the man. I truly, do I think the man's a white supremacist? I've met true white supremacists. Motherfuckers have done decades in prison, ran with the Aryan Brotherhood. I don't think Trump's one of those. I think Trump is a Trump supremacist. What can you do for me? And the minute you can't do anything for me, I'm done with you. But he don't care what color, creed, whatever you are coming to him as long as you can feed his ego, put money in his pocket. I truly believe that. However, I'm going to say this. You want proof? I'll post it on the fucking Unregimented Facebook page. I watched the video today. He is literally denouncing the KKK, saying they need to stop inciting violence. They need to stop going to these places and stirring the pot. Same thing with, first of all, I don't know. I'm not really sure the Proud Boys are white supremacists. They're more just kind of like a homoerotic bunch of conservatives, in my opinion. But we can get into that later if you really want. Because I looked up a lot of like their initiation shit, and it seems really gay.
They got touch wieners?
Dude, close. Almost an elephant walk. Almost. But like he has done that. So that's just his bullshit ego that got in the way of just saying. He couldn't say it because someone told him to. If he'd have just said it naturally before anyone brought it up, he would have been able to allow himself to say that, like he did in the videos that I've seen. But because someone told him to do it, his bullshit ego wouldn't let him say it, and he fucked himself. He put that foot dead center in the honeypot, and he fucked himself. Now, is that going to lose him far-right voters? Probably, but let's be honest here. Far left and far right voters, they're not that different. You got the John Brown gun club out there running around in the streets of Portland on the left, and you got these fucking wannabe fucking whatever the fuck. I don't even know what.
Boogaloo Boys.
See, but the Boogaloo Boys is like, that's memes, dude. Like, give me something real.
They're real
now. You know
now.
What I'm saying? Well, I mean, but did the meme spark? What came first, chicken or the egg type thing? It doesn't matter. Whatever. The extremists, they're same thing. Less government, basically anarchy. We want to run ourselves. We want to do our own shit. We just disagree with this group, and we think we should have the right to impose through violence our will on anyone who doesn't agree with us.
Well, we've got a really loose grip on what an actual movement is in this country. If you stumbled across a message board where a bunch of people were exchanging ridiculous ideas, you go, "Oh, here's a weird dark corner of the internet that I found where a bunch of people have weird, fucked up ideas." You wouldn't go, "Oh, this is a movement." But as soon as that group of people express the support for a political candidate, oh, it's a movement all of a sudden. Really, where are they organizing? What is their platform? What do they want?
Well, a lot of the problem is that they're such misfits. They're literally, when you get to the fringes like that, and I've been in some of those, I've lurked in some of the, like, left and right, and I don't even know what you call them, like almost apolitical, but like violent about it. I don't know what you call them, but they're islands of misfit toys. They can't even agree what the fuck they want.
Unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Progressive presents The Sounds of the Old World.
The year is 2019, and someone is getting up to use the bathroom at the stadium.
Excuse me? Excuse me? Oh, sorry. Excuse me? You mind if I just squeeze by here?
This has been The Sounds of the Old World.
Brought to you by Progressive, where drivers can still switch and save like it's 2019.
Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
At Jewelers Mutual, we're a little obsessed with jewelry. Obsessed like auctioneers with talking fast.
50, we're gonna 50.
Pop stars with auto-tune. And dentists with asking questions.
So, how did he propose?
After they've put their hands in your mouth.
Great.
Yes, we've made jewelry our obsession for over 100 years. We love it so much we named our kids Ruby, Amber, and Opal.
Venti soy latte for Opal?
At Jewelers Mutual, we insure jewelry and only jewelry, which is why people who are also obsessed with jewelry trust us with theirs.
Progressive presents an interview with your upstairs neighbor.
Hi, I'm Tia. The upstairs-downstairs neighbor dynamic is so special. We have our own language. Like when I scream at my mom on the phone, the people downstairs bang on the ceiling to show their support. The nighttime's the best time to rearrange furniture. I call it midnight feng shui. And if I sleep through my alarm in the morning, they bang on my door to wake me. So thoughtful.
Progressive can't save you from your upstairs neighbor, but we can save you money when you bundle renters and auto insurance with us. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Unregimented.
They just know they. In fact, here's my problem with politics today. For the most part, and this is why I think Obama was the last politician to get people wrapped up in that hope thing, because he didn't go out there and go, his message wasn't, this is not what I want. His message was, this is what I want. This is the future I see that we're capable of reaching. What was truly behind the hope? A tax to exist in this country via the ACA. All right? Drone strikes on countries more than any other president in the history of drone strikes. All that good shit. But his message was on point. These guys are just, I don't like this. I don't care what you don't like. I don't like broccoli. That's not a political stance. Get the fuck over it. Who cares what you don't like? What do you want out of this world?
Well, even take Antifa. What does Antifa want? Antifa wants an end to fascism encroaching in America.
Okay, but let's
right?
Okay, as much as it's a meme that and Biden, he's full of shit. Antifa's not a movement, is not a group, it's an idea. Bullshit. There are people, whether or not
in that case there are people organizing, there are people that are putting together a platform, yes.
Okay, now whether the idea came first and the movement came from the idea doesn't matter. Where are we? It ain't where you're from, it's where you're at. That's what we need to start realizing. Where are we at? And right now we're at a situation where we have a group of people who are gathering underneath the Antifa banner going, anyone who does not agree with my politics is a fascist. That's not fascism. Fascism isn't everyone has to agree with you or else they're a fascist, okay? Bottom line. You can look up anybody's definition of fascism. 10, 14 tenets of fascism. Just because they don't agree with you, that does not mean they're fascist. And just because, by the way, someone doesn't agree with you when you're on the right doesn't mean they're Antifa. Doesn't mean they're BLM. And I'm going to say it right now. BLM, fuck BLM. Not the sentiment behind Black Lives Matter. Of course Black Lives Matter. Not even the movement itself. But the organizers, fuck them. I'm sorry. I don't want to be part of a fascist organization, but I don't want to be part of a fucking communist organization either. I kind of like my freedom, and I'm really fucking tired of being told I have to give it up and choose one of these fucking sides by these people driving the conversation who bring nothing to the table besides, if we don't get our way, we're going to fucking throw shit fits. We're going to terrorize you in the streets by burning down your cities. We're going to terrorize you by doxing you on the internet. Fuck you. I don't care where you're from. Grow the fuck up and understand you don't get your way all the time. And violence and destroying people's lives is not an appropriate response to not getting your way. That's not how the world is going to work and thrive. Oh, it can work that way.
Well,
that's called a totalitarian or authoritarian state, and I don't want to live in either of those.
You might be a little bit too much blankety in your statement there, Rich. I mean, obviously there are points that there are things that can happen that do need violence to solve them. You know, we weren't going to fix slavery without a civil war in this country. It just wasn't going to happen any other way.
All right, fine. Yes, war is an unfortunate, it is a last ditch effort. It is a last resort. You have people who have the most freedom, who live in the most tolerant society America has ever known, crying like they're living under 1849 fucking America, where they, you know, if you're black, you're a slave. If you're fucking gay, well, we'll burn you at the stake. That's not, stop it. That's not the world. That's not reality. And we're letting these people fucking sit there and go, this is reality. Why? They're either mentally ill or lying. If they're mentally ill, we'll take empathy and compassion on you and we'll get you some help. If you're lying, fuck you, you're a piece of shit trying to stir the pot. And just like everyone who likes to stir the pot, you don't want to lick the shit spoon. Fuck you, lick your shit spoon. I'm tired. Dude, done. We want truth in this country. That's the truth. That's not my truth, your truth, her truth, his truth, Z's truth. That is the truth, period. And we can't deal with it because why? Oh, we might piss somebody off. We might offend them. We got to put it in a way that, why? Most people, the vast majority of people, what I just said, understand what I'm saying. So why do I got to worry about the fringes of society that's going to find a way to get offended by it? Why do I have to change my message or my delivery of the message to suit their oh so delicate sensibilities? Because they're not changing their message. Their message is still very radical and fucking in your face, and they'll fucking look you dead in the face. They'll come to your fucking house and tell you, you don't deserve your house. Get the fuck out your house.
Right. Well, so obviously social media plays a factor in this, and that it's able to give a louder voice to the fringes. And it's not just that louder voices all over Twitter or Facebook or whatever, because I can just not follow those people and avoid all that nonsense. It's that megaphone that was given to the fringes has been seen as beneficial to people in power, and primarily the media and politicians. They can go, well, you might think this policy is radical, but here's a group of people that are supporting me. Now, don't pay attention to how big that group of people actually is. Pay more attention to how big their megaphone is.
Yeah.
So that you have a perceived grassroots movement backing you as a candidate. And the media is culpable in all this because it's just headlines. The media is doing the same thing with the extremes of both sides, left and right, and their megaphone on Twitter or Facebook or whatever it is, and using that to generate headlines, the same way that they're reporting on every little thing that Trump did leading up to the 2016 election, resulting in giving one candidate way more news coverage than any other.
Yeah, at least close to $1 billion, the most conservative estimate
I think it was
of free fucking advertising.
Of free ads, yes.
I think it was $4 billion.
I mean, I'm talking about the most conservative estimate. Because I'd rather err on the side of caution than just go fucking full on, crazy. And I agree with you. And this is where, when Todd was on, and we've had this discussion before, and, I felt this way. Well, my thinking has evolved about the media. Okay.
Oh, so you're a flip-flopper, huh?
Yep, exactly. I'm a dirty, filthy centrist. I'm a flip-flopper. Yep, I'm all that. Yep. Here's the deal. If the media was honest and was just like, we don't give a fuck about facts, we don't give a fuck about truth, we just give a fuck about ratings and money. Oh, okay. Well, then I know where I stand with you. But they act like they're the gatekeepers of the truth, of honesty. You're not.
Yeah, they're not. They're not nonprofits.
Period. You are not. And so this whole "we get the media we deserve" bullshit. If you're so fucking righteous, then you should be above pandering to the lowest common denominator for fucking money and ratings. But you're not.
Right. Well, to say you get the media you deserve is to also say that the media is only concerned about, putting out stories that drive ad sales. Like if we get the media that we deserve, then we're admitting that the media is broken, because the whole purpose of the Fourth Estate was to be above all that shit.
Oh, it is broken.
And that's what I'm saying. You have a lot of these fucking new journalists walking around with that old journalism mentality that's unearned. You didn't earn that. And the ones who do step outside of their approved media bubbles, Matt Taibbi is one who comes to mind.
Yeah.
Who's a younger, when I say younger, I mean, it's all relative. He's more our age. I mean, like, you had Hunter S. Thompson, who he didn't just step outside of the media bubble. He took a shit on it, pissed on it, and then dropped acid, made love to it. So, I mean, whatever. But, Matt Taibbi stepped out and said, no, it's a lot of bullshit. You have other people, even younger people, leaving traditional forms of legacy media and going to new forms of getting their reporting out. And my problem is that a lot of them fall into the same trap that has caught so many other people when it comes to reporting. They start getting enough recognition and people start saying their name enough, they get enamored by the sound of their own name. And so they start thinking they make the news. No. Yeah. You're the vessel that reports the news. That's all I need you to do. In fact,
right.
I don't want to know your wife's name. I don't want to know if you have children. I don't care to.
But that competition actually was beneficial to the quality of the news that we were getting under prior media. If the New York Times puts out a story that ends up being proved as false and they're exposed as doing sloppy reporting, then that means that the New York Post is going to put a story out about that, and they're going to advertise themselves as, "Hey, we're the paper that has the actual facts of the story of what's going on." So there was that fear of being exposed as a sloppy reporter that would keep you in check. Now that you have the gatekeepers taken off of that, and that you have more new media that is getting their message, quote unquote, directly to their audience, and there is no filter of an organization or even an editor going, "Are you sure all this checks out?" Then the New York Times is now competing with new media, so they have less reason to fact check their story, especially if it means that story is going to go out later than the YouTube videos go up.
Well, I mean,
some people don't even spell check, let alone fact check.
Oh God!
Let's start small. Start small to big.
Well, I mean, you have, and look, I'm not rubber stamping them as a news organization at the moment. I'm just saying, at the moment, they're the ones that have a presentation, how they present the news, that makes the most sense to me, and that is The Hill. And the reason I say that is because you have a progressive and a conservative sit next to each other, don't argue with each other. It's not fucking Crossfire. It's not, what was that shit where you had one conservative? You know what I'm saying? It's not the typical, the progressive.
Hannity and Combs.
Thank you. It's not Hannity and Combs. In fact, I can't remember their names, but from the Hill. But shit. Anyways, it doesn't matter. What I'm saying is the progressive basically critiques the left, the conservative critiques the right, and they're ruthless in it. And you know what? Good. Because that's how you get better at something.
Yeah.
You get better at something not by going, well, this isn't fair. Why do I have to? This person could outrun me in a race because their legs are longer. Well, guess what? They hit the genetic lottery. You need to work harder if you want to make this your career and beat people like that, or else find a new career.
Right, which is why even the Democrats win this election and Joe Biden is our next president, the Democrats are still behind the game because they haven't even caught up to playing the same game as the Republicans have been playing for the last 20 years. And much less actually spend enough time on that game to get as good as the Republicans are at staying on message.
Well, I mean, we are so deep into newspeak that Orwell has to be rolling in his grave because we literally have our own version of, remember Baghdad Bob during the Iraq War in the early 2000s? It was like, everything's fine. Saddam is
that guy?
The Americans. We are destroying the Americans. America will bow to us soon. Thank you, my friend.
I remember being 12 and laughing at that guy.
Okay. We got that motherfucker now. He works for CNN. He's standing in front of a whole block on fire. The mostly peaceful protests. Are you serious, Orwell? And if you don't get that reference, why are you even in journalism? What the fuck is your problem? How could that even get on the air? What the fuck is going on in this country? Seriously. This is such bullshit. That's what I'm saying. When people go, how can you trust the media? You can't. You can't. You just got to find the ones whose moral compass and truth compass points as true north as you can get. But they're all dented, including ours. I'm not saying that ours are fucking untainted. Believe me, there's a lot of taint on me. I mean, in more ways than one. I'm rather robust, so we'll leave it at that and let your imagination run with it. Sorry about that. Anyways, yeah, but seriously, this is the shit I'm talking about. And these are the people that spoon feed us the quote unquote truth. Get the fuck out of here. And what's scary is I used to think everyone knew that they were full of shit. No, they don't. They think they're getting the pure, uncut, good shit, truth from their talking head of choice.
If you're consuming journalism based on your own beliefs, then you're not applying any critical thinking to it. You just hook up the tube. Whatever news you got.
Which is terrifying. I'm not even joking. That terrifies me. That's the vast majority of this country. That's the vast majority of the world. And you got to think there's other parts of the world who they don't bother get news, media. They're not free. They get it from either the state or the church.
Oof.
So how much bullshit are they being fed? And really, who are we to sit there and be like, look at you getting it from the state or the church? We get it from corporations.
Yeah.
Are we better than them?
We have a different state or church.
Well, I mean, look at BBC. BBC is state-owned and run, and I wish I could remember who. I was listening to a podcast, and there was a British person that they were talking to, and they said, well, you know that BBC is playing it right down the middle because conservatives think it's too liberal and liberals think it's too conservative. So
sounds fair.
It can be done. It doesn't automatically mean because it's state run that it's lies. It should be. I don't know. I don't know if there's any process of checks and balances against the BBC, or if they've just been lucky so far.
I dipped my toe briefly in the last month or so into critique because I I wanted to get an idea of how other countries critique their media. And so I started purposely going on YouTube and looking up non-Americans, and not like Irish person talks about American culture. No. I want to know how you view your media, what your criticisms, what your praises are of it. And the BBC is pretty much like the NPR. Let's be honest. You get your funding from tax dollars and donations. And NPR, conservatives aren't donating to NPR, so NPR has a hard liberal slant. And that's the most polite way to put it. I mean,
NPR's liberal?
I've yet to hear a flat-out, unapologetically conservative show on NPR in the last decade.
It's on at Sunday night at 4 a.m.
It's just all there is to it. I mean, no, look, we are a conservative, because, I mean, you'll have people on it, we're progressive, and this is what we're doing, and we're this, and we're this, and we're this, and we're this, and everyone just, yes, and eats it up and golf claps. And if a conservative, and I'm a conservative, and this is this, and I mean, I'm not talking your token conservative. I'm talking a full-on 1 or more hour show of a conservative giving his opinion on NPR. Maybe it exists somewhere in the middle of the heartland of America. I don't know. I don't live there. But I ain't heard it in Detroit. I ain't heard it in New York. I ain't heard it in Florida, Tennessee, or Arizona. And that's where I've lived in this country. So I looked into foreign media and how they're looked at. And the BBC, pretty much, they got shit like they're starting to push this like critical race theory bullshit where everything that's white or Eurocentric or whatever whatever buzzword they want to use is evil and inherently racist, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's just the way it is.
What? That's where white people came from.
And I'm just like, wait, what? And one video I watched, they were talking about World War I. Now, a lot of people might not know this, but there were actually women front line fighting for Russia in World War I. Like, that's one of the things. You want equality? Go to a communist country. And they will, woman, man, doesn't matter. You ain't part of the ruling class, your ass can catch a bullet just as good as any man can. Get your ass out there in the front lines. We'll grind you up in the gears of the war machine real easy. Okay, good. That's probably an undertaught part of history. I understand bringing that up. But they started bringing up stuff like when the soldiers came home, there was no parades for the soldiers of color. And I'm like, oh, you put it that way, it's kind of fucked up. Then so the guy fact-checked.
We have 2 parades now?
Then the guy, see, right there. Boom. But the guy fact-checked it, and he's like, specifically when they were talking about the Indian, and by Indian I mean like from India.
Yeah.
It's 2,000 soldiers from all of the UK that were UK citizens that fought in World War I. They have their own fucking park and monument built to them, but they didn't have their own fucking parade because they're part of the fucking British Army.
So it wasn't a parade for the whole army?
Exactly. That's the type of shit. And I'm like, see, that's that divisive bullshit that's subtly divisive that like well-intentioned people who are like, well, I don't want to be a istophobe, so I'll go along with this. Don't stop and critique the bullshit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, do also, you see them driving the wedge in between us?
If you want to make the point that the Brits haven't been so kind to Indians in the past.
You don't have to go to World War I and how many soldiers fought for the British Empire.
No, there's the history's all there.
I mean, you could if you want a real quick westernized take on it, just watch fucking Temple of Doom. It's not that hard, you know.
Which I found out yesterday is a prequel.
Yeah, it was the.
I didn't know that Temple of Doom happened before Raiders. 3 years.
Yeah, I when I found it out, I was like, really? And I was like, yeah. Well, wait a minute. Temple of Doom was not really Nazi heavy. Wasn't really World War II heavy, was it?
Yeah, and I think that's probably why they went with a prequel because they didn't want to do Nazis.
No time for love, Dr. Jones.
No time for love, Dr. Jones. But look, man, And I understand you're going to gravitate towards people who are like-minded and speak what you want to hear, and I understand all that. I can't fault you for that because you're human and I'm human and we all do it. All right, but
there's a
once you get past the initial fucking attraction, it's just because you see a hot person and you're like attracted to them, that's not the end all be all. There's more. Dig a little deeper. Let's peel the layers. Find out what's really down there.
There's when I take on information, I'm either doing it as news or I just want somebody to commiserate with, right? So when I watch Bill Maher's show, for example, I'm not watching that because I don't know what happened this week and I'm hoping he'll fill me in. Right? I'm watching it because I want somebody else with half of the same brain to go, hey, this is kind of messed up, right? And I go, yes, that's what I've been saying all week, right? That's all that I want. That's not news. That's not me seeking out information and trying to figure out what is actually going on. And too many people are in that commiseration bubble of I just want something that's going to confirm what I already know is fucked up instead of actually taking on new information and assessing the situation.
Yeah, and that's that. Look, there's a place for both.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you have to be self-aware enough to know.
Yes. Know when you're getting an opinion piece and when you're getting hard news.
And look, this isn't a hard news show. If you've been listening to this show and think that this is hard news, no, we're not. This isn't breaking news with Mort Krim going on here. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not happening. This is just three motherfuckers and a guest sometimes sitting around just ejaculating our opinions on each other and hoping we don't get it in each other's hair or eyes. That's pretty much about it. Maybe can we keep it out the mouth? I know that makes for good podcasting, but I don't want your opinion ejaculation in my mouth, and I'm sure the feeling's mutual. So, but no, seriously, all bullshit aside, we understand what we are. I don't think Chris, have you ever put us up as under news? We're a news podcast.
I think it's one of the categories we're filed under Apple. But it's
right.
But it's got current events.
It's all about current event, right? Yeah. If you're talking about current events, I think you're classified as news.
I don't think we're like the audio version of Dateline. I'm not leaning on that shit.
Gotcha. Okay. By the way, real quick, I'm sorry to interject this, but it just it's the channel, the page or the website is called The Hill. The show is called The Rising.
Okay.
And Crystal Ball and Sager and Jetty and Jotty.
Crystal Ball, really?
Yo.
That is her name?
Yo. I'm just saying. I got a ball for her too. You know what I'm saying? She kind of all right, but I'm whatever.
She either has unimaginative parents, unimaginative parents, or come on, you can come up with a better stage name.
Oh no, they were on Joe Rogan 6 months ago, and Joe Rogan's like, so what's up with the porn name? And she's like, parents were oblivious. Okay, trust me, I'm almost 40. I've grown up with it. I know. Well, dude. Okay, my first name is Richard. My last name is what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I'm sure middle school was a blast.
And then of course all the jocks in high school. And I'm like, yeah, because I didn't hear that enough in third grade. Congratulations. Where's your sister so I can sell her weed and fuck her? But anyway, but yeah, no, that.
Crystal Marie Ball.
Unregimented. ChristopherMedia.net.
Me, but also you. The Pharaoh fast forwards his favorite foreign film, Powder Donut. Okay, what's my line?
The only line I see here on the script is get options based on your budget with the name and price tool from Progressive.
Oh man, that's a tongue twister, huh? I'm sorry, I'm gonna need a few more minutes. Bulbous Walrus, the Bulbous Walrus.
The Name Your Price tool, only from Progressive.
The owl ran afoul of the comatose coxswain.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Masspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth, and always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done. There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth, and as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast, and check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth, and always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Unregimented.
I do want to bring up this. I guess we'll just, if we could, we'll just put a blanket over it and call it the civil unrest. That way we don't have to, because there's just the shit's been going on. Like Portland, that shit went on for a couple months. I mean, it almost got to the point where, like, at night, like the cops were like, "Well, here they come."
I think it's still going on. The media just got bored.
Well, it's like, well, the protesters have left, and here come the troublemakers. Which I've been yelled at by conservative friends of mine for saying this. I still think the troublemakers, vast majority of the time, have nothing to do with what people are protesting. They're just there because they're opportunists to get some shit going. That's what I truly think. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's agitators from who are trying to stir the pot because of their political ideals that are there doing that. But I think the vast majority are just like, you want to go to Portland and get some free shit? Yeah. All right.
Trust me, I was in my 20s once. Trust me, I probably hung out with those guys. Hey, man, want to go fuck some shit up?
Oh,
sure.
Hey, Chris, I can hear some music leaking through. We have to take all this off the Skype feed.
Oh.
I can say this, and it's not very popular, so I don't know how it's going to hit you two, but, whatever. I don't have much sympathy for anyone that goes down there once the protesting is done and the bullshit starts and inserts themselves into bullshit. I just like the shit with the Kyle Rittenhouse, whatever his name is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay. And if he ends up in prison for the rest of his life and two people end up dead and one guy ends up fucking with a jacked up arm, you knew what you were doing when you went down there. You want my sympathy? It's been a dictionary between shit and syphilis. That's where it lies. I don't. You want to protest? You want to protest? There's a place and a time to protest. You went down there specifically armed, looking for trouble. Both sides. You fucked around and found out. You got what you were asking for. Be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. That's how I look at it. Because everybody was armed.
Well, right. So this, if I remember correctly, this was the guy that went to? Is this in Portland?
This was in Kenosha.
In Kenosha. Okay, thank you. And he went down there because he had friends who had property down there, right? That he was going to supposedly go down there and keep an eye on.
That's one of the stories I've heard. That's one of the more sympathetic to him stories I've heard.
Right.
Other stories I've heard is that
that's probably the most sympathetic story. And let's just take that one at face value. So, first of all, if I call up my buddy and say, "Hey, can you go take a gun and go downtown and make sure my shit doesn't get fucked with?" Unless that person is just gung ho to have any reason to get their gun out, they're probably not going to be cool with that, right? Like, what? Why am I the one to go and guard your shit? And even if you did get that friend to go down, they'd be, sitting inside of your store eating donuts, making sure that nobody smashes anything through the window, right? They wouldn't be going door to door with the gun looking for perpetrators. Like, his justification makes no sense. There is no justification for it. He wanted to go there, and I don't even think it's caused trouble. I think he wanted to go down there because he thought he could take control of the situation.
I think he gets off because that state's an open carry state.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And he wants a reason to be able to flaunt his power.
That is one of those news stories where I think I file it under, it's with the Dr. Dow story, where I think everybody in that story sucks.
Yes, yeah. It's just a story about a bunch of assholes.
Yeah. Like, it's like, I think both sides, you could argue on both sides, and the same thing I keep coming to was everyone in that story sucks. And kind of with Rich, everyone in that story got what was coming to him.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry, did I derail you on something? Oh, did we lose Rich?
I'm sorry. I had to go for a sec, guys. I'm so sorry. I didn't even have a chance to type in "be right back." I figured I'd be back before I was. Oh. What'd I miss?
That everyone in that story sucks. That's the consensus we came to.
No, I wanted to make sure that I was thinking of the right guy. You'd mentioned Kyle Rittenhouse.
I know his first name's Kyle. We'll just leave it at that. I can't remember his. I'm not going to learn his shitty last name. I don't care.
No.
Fuck him. But that's the thing. Like, how can you say that? He's defending. It's not his property.
Yeah, that is basically what I was saying. He was told that, to go down there and protect some property, and he obviously, if somebody asked him to do that, it took no convincing.
Just be honest, it was a 17-year-old with a gun. He wanted to stir some shit up.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, Aaron, let's say for whatever reason there's a huge riot heading your way. All right, and you're like, you message Chris and I like, oh shit, there's a riot heading my way. Well, first thing I'm gonna ask you is, I'll be like, hey, do you own the house you're in? Do you need help getting the shit that you want them not to take out?
Right.
Because I'm not trying to die over you renting, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? But if it's your house and you're under siege and I consider you a friend, yeah, I might come help you defend it. And people are like, well, you kill someone over private property? Damn right. So you consider private property worth more than their life. If they're willing to risk their life to take
Depends on their life insurance policy.
Then they don't value their own life enough. That's their problem.
I think if you added up all the deaths that have happened in the world, it would probably be mostly over private property and religion.
Well, that's what communism is here for. There's no such thing as private property. Let the state own everything and just give it out. And everything will be fine because, God knows the government never fucks up. Wink, wink.
Okay, and there's also so many examples in history of it working out well. Oh, wait.
But look, legit protesting, even nonviolent civil disobedience, I'm down for. Let's do it.
Yes.
I got it. No problem. The minute you lay down in the street and a car starts coming and it stops, and then you stand up and start attacking that car, pounding on that window, pulling on the door, saying I'm gonna kick the shit out you, you're no longer protesting. You're assault.
Just acting out. Yeah.
That's assault. And I'm gonna defend myself. And I'll take my chances with the jury over being. It's an old saying, but it's true. I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. I've seen what happened to Reginald Denny. Even Bill Hicks said, Reginald Denny. People were like, how could this happen? What could he have done? He's like, I think I see a solution out of this. Step on the fucking gas.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Tractor trailer.
Yeah. If they don't get out the way.
Just put it in first.
You've already came to a complete stop for them. Now do you think they're whispering sweet nothings on your window as they're pounding on it? Like, we want to pull you out and cover you in kisses and hugs.
Hey, what are you doing? You want a hand job?
Yeah, no.
Hell, tractor trailer, put it in neutral. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, and it's just like that shit. There's to me a clear line of distinction. And when people go down there to start shit or to get involved in shit that has nothing to do with them, aka 17-year-olds showing up with a fucking rifle to defend someone's property that wasn't theirs.
Well, we've seen how the media calculates these statistics now, and we have many examples of it. And we've talked a lot about this in the Me Too cases. There's a lot of Me Too cases, but not all of them are rape. I'm not saying any of them are right, but let's still have a distinction between sexual assault and rape, intimidation and rape, being too aggressive and rape. And it's the same thing. We have examples of people purposely driving cars into crowds of people in order to harm them.
Some of them police.
Yes. We have examples of that. But now every time that a body comes in contact with a car, it's chalked up on the board. We have this many number of incidents now. And most of these are, the police car trying to push its way through a crowd, private citizens just trying to get from A to B. These aren't, let me back up 100 feet and get a running start at this crowd.
I mean, neutral slam into this crowd.
Let me Grand Theft Auto it. Hold on, I didn't run him over enough.
Let's see how many stars I can get.
Let me jump off this building and land on him, and then keep going. Look, man, this is more of a personal thing. I don't know if you guys have maybe had this situation happen recently, but I know it's a situation that's happening with people in general. I'll put it that way. These subjects that we've talked about for the last, 2 hours or whatever, and we'll continue to talk about for another, hour. This shit is getting out of hand as far as the cost of having these conversations for me. I've lost family members, close friends, people, just 99 things we agree on. One thing we don't, that's it. You're done. You're cut off. I'm done with you. I can't. Someone who holds your beliefs. I never thought that about you. That type of attitude. And I'm like, this is, we throw the word toxic around and problematic and all these little buzzwords and shit. Like, willy-nilly. This is toxic. This is fucking problematic. You can have disagreements about politics, about protest, about means of protest, and not have to fucking cut somebody out your fucking life.
Last week, I just let it go because I've known this person too long. Somebody I know and respect, and I think is a smart person. Out of their mouth came, well, they couldn't get him on impeachment, so they unleashed coronavirus. And I was like, and then his dad was like, yeah, and I was just let it go. Nope, we've been friends too long. Nope, it's not, wasn't worth it to me. And I think more people need to do that. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back here, but that was just something where I was like, I just kind of step back and go, all right, whatever. That's.
But I have to.
Right, it's almost ridiculous that some might think it commendable that you're able to overlook that in your friend when that should be the norm. Yeah. And this is part of it, Rich. You were talking about political presidential races starting earlier and earlier each cycle, and that's adding to this problem. We used to live in a world where we trusted our government enough that we could just forget about it for a while and know that it was going to run on its own.
Well, I mean, the government is kind of like it's a boulder rolling down, I'm not saying Everest.
It's going to run on its own no matter what. It's just what direction is it going in?
Yeah, we damn near ground the economy to a halt, and our government was still running on all cylinders.
The best comparison I ever heard was Dana Gould. He said it's a Mack truck. And every 4 years we put a different ornament on it. Sometimes it's a bear, sometimes it's an eagle, but it's always going where it's going to go. Because it's a fucking Mack truck.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
and Dana Gould's a good example because that's somebody he's a liberal. He was a Obama supporter. I'm sure he's voting for Biden. He does not like Trump, but he still goes on Adam Carolla's show every once in a while. They have civil conversations. He talks about how he has conservative friends.
Oh, it's
but just the fact that that's the only person I can come up with right now, right? He's the exception and not the rule is insane.
I literally have lost a pretty good friend. Not like, one of those like quarter century I've known this person, been friends with them. Those people are pretty much grandfathered in. You got to someone's got to fuck somebody's kid for us not to be friends. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to start doing some really foul shit. Because I mean, you do Sporgy with Earl and I. We talk to each other like we hate each other. Then 5 minutes later, he'll be on the phone with me and we're talking like we're brothers. It's just how it is. But over the fact that I brought up a Joe Rogan podcast, and this person said, "Wait, you listen to Joe Rogan?" And by the way, the podcast I brought up was him interviewing Bernie Sanders and endorsing Bernie Sanders during the primary, by the way.
Right.
Who this person supported, just so you know. So I painted the picture. You listen to Joe Rogan? Like, yeah, if he's got a guest on I care about. If he's got someone on there who's talking about hunting, I'm not a hunter. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. But if he's got like Kevin Smith, yeah, of course I'm going to listen to that. Why not? I listen to almost everything. Kevin Smith's got enough podcasts. You can listen to him 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the rest of your life and never fucking repeat the same one. So yeah. And he's like, well, because he's like, he's Nazi adjacent. I said, wait, excuse me? Nazi adjacent.
Yeah. Like real estate.
And a discussion of such epic retardation happened between me and this person. Like literally, I was like, I felt myself getting dumber during this conversation, which quickly devolved into an argument. And finally, I was just like, "Are you fucking serious right now, man? I never knew that about you, man. I thought you were better than that. I didn't know you're one of them."
Well, guess I'm not. See ya. That's where I'm at in life.
And I'm like, one of them? Who's them?
Right. You're consuming a piece of culture. It doesn't define anything about you.
Oh,
yeah. There's a line from a movie called Half Nelson where this high school teacher he brings his date home and she goes, "So I noticed you had a lot of books," and he goes, "Well, yeah, I'm a history teacher." She's like, "Well, I noticed you had Chan Africa. So are you a communist?" He goes, "What if I had Mein Kampf? Would that make me a Nazi?" She goes, "Maybe." He goes, "Yeah, well, you know what? Nazis just ain't cool anymore, baby." And it's just like, that's the attitude. Like, are you serious? How did history in and of itself, listening to someone's opinion in and of itself is not an endorsement of that opinion or endorsement of what they've historically done. And why do I have to explain this to goddamn adults?
I experienced a lot of criticism from just a stupid picture that I posted on Twitter. And, I didn't take any of this seriously. I was able to laugh it off. But it was in response to someone had posted a photo of a smallish bookshelf that had some Funko Pops on it and a copy of the Watchmen graphic novel. And was like, every Gen X white dude has this. And I took a picture of my bookshelf, which has Watchmen on it, of course, and it has a couple Funko Pops sitting on top of it. And I was like,
yes, I was about to say.
Here it is. and many people laughed at that. It was like, and some people were like, "I can't believe you just owned yourself like that." I'm like, what? Okay, so something that I did fits a stereotype.
It's
right. Then others were like, "Oh, but you've got an Ayn Rand book on your bookshelf. Oh, what's with that Bukowski? This is toxic masculinity here. Oh, he's some crazy right-wing libertarian because it's an Ayn Rand." No, because I read different things. Because first of all, I didn't read Ayn Rand. I happen to think that Ayn Rand has a fascinating voice. She's not a great writer, but she's a very interesting writer. She's damn near autistic in the way that she writes. And it's almost like Ayn Rand's writing is actually she's closer to. I'm sorry, what did you say, Rich?
You mean that literally, not as an insult.
Not as an insult. Yes.
Not calling someone an autist. Literally, yes. That's no. Because I agree with you.
She's much closer to Bret Easton Ellis than other writers, where they go on almost these meditative trips of just describing a room or a person, details that don't matter, but the fact that there's so many details means something else. Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. Getting mired in the little things that individually add up to nothing, but it together as prose is something. It's transcendent, right? But anyway,
your liberal membership card's going to be up for review, buddy. You said consuming a piece of art doesn't define you. You're going to be under review.
Well, right, because I was here's people on Twitter, none of whom know me, like me, follow me. I was replying to somebody else's stuff. These weren't followers. None of these had any idea. They looked at a picture and said, I can define who you are by what you've read.
Twitter is just packs of haters roaming together. That's what I've learned.
Or apparently Vonnegut. My love of Vonnegut is problematic.
Oh,
Well, you're over 40 and white, so you're just problematic with a pair of shoes anyway.
Jeffrey Eugenides Middlesex in there too. That's a pretty liberal tome. That's about a hermaphrodite that runs away as a teenager and goes to work as a stripper in San Francisco.
Your white skin makes you problematic to
Never mind
some
all
people on
the
Twitter.
hippy-dippy Tom Robbins shit that I have on there. You just zone in on one Nan Rand book that I have on my shelf, and you're like, this person is this.
Packs of haters roaming together.
When I had books, back in the day, when I was married, before I lost everything, and I had a bookshelf. Shelves, actually.
Ooh, you had two, huh?
Yeah. Ooh, I know, right? Look at a big brain on ribs, you know? But
step back, spread out, give them some room.
Yeah, every once in a while, I'd have someone who's read something more than like, I don't know, the back of a cereal box come over and they'd say, oh man, you got a lot of books. You read all these? I'm like, yeah, most of them. Some of them are Ambers, some of them are, gifts that I haven't gotten around to yet. And they'd look and they're like, Hubert Selby, Last Exit to Brooklyn. That doesn't seem like a type of book you'd be into. I'm like, wrote one of my favorite stories ever. Wrote one of my favorite movies ever because he wrote screenplay and the book for Requiem for a Dream. And wow, really? Oh, okay. And they're like looking and they're like, Atlas Shrugged. I'm like, yeah. Why would you have that? First of all, that's the wife. Second of all, why wouldn't I?
You authoritarian.
Right.
You know what I'm
that's
saying?
the thing. Like, you didn't look at my copy of Clockwork Orange and go, wow, you're into rape and murder?
Yeah. Hey, what's up, pervert?
I didn't think that you were like a violent person. Right. You're into ultraviolence and drinking milk with liquor in it? No, it's fucking fiction, you morons. That's what it's for. It's so that we can experience different points of view, so we can put ourselves in different bodies, so we can go to different worlds. We can do things create worlds in our own brains with the help of authors that can't exist. We can do the impossible. These are literature, entertainment, movies, television, comic books. All of this shit is the shit that ties people together, that allows us to see different points of view.
Different points of view are good for you.
See, this, ladies and gentlemen, is my favorite Aaron. When Aaron is defending art. This is my favorite, because you really feel the passion. Trust me, he ain't like this most of the time. I've lived with the man, okay? like, hey, Aaron, we're getting evicted. Well, okay, I'll see what I can do about that. That's it? I'm ready to go Superfly TNT. I'm Guns of the Navarone over here. I'm like, what are we doing, Captain? What are we doing? And you're like, well, we'll figure it out. I'm like, what the fuck? You have Vonnegut? That's problematic. Oh! But no, if
you start fucking with my art, that's all I got left, man.
Thank you. Isn't it? Isn't it really? Like, I can't. This is why I'm like, I used to never be for gatekeeping, because gatekeeping was always keeping people out is how I looked at it. Now I'm like, no, gatekeeping is keeping people who want to just come in and go, I don't really give a fuck about your hobby or your passion, but, oh, that's a problem right there. Get that out of here. First of all, who the fuck are you? Like, seriously, who are you?
Unregimented. ChristopherMedia.net.
Progressive presents The Sounds of the Old World. The year is 2019, and someone is waiting for a table at a restaurant.
Thompson, party of 4. Thompson, party of 4. Thompson, party... Oh, there you are.
This has been The Sounds of the Old World. Brought to you by Progressive, where drivers can still switch and save like it's 2019.
Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth. And always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Reinvent yourself at UCLA Extension. Explore continuing education programs to enhance and expand your skill set. Gain real-world skills taught by industry experts that you can apply immediately. Learn from anywhere and choose from a wide variety of online courses in entertainment, digital technology, business, engineering, and more. Winter Quarter begins January 4th. Learn more at uclaextension.edu.
ChristopherMedia.net. Unregimented.
There is literally a movement to get orcs removed from Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh God, why? Oh God, why?
Because a group of people came in and said orcs are fantasy representation of black people.
How? Their skin is green.
First of all, if we go back,
don't they look like Shrek?
If you go back to Tolkien, his version of orcs, they were corrupted elves. Elves were white. Orcs were corrupted elves. Orcs are not black people. But then someone goes, well, in the Bible, there's the story about Cain and Abel, and Abel kills his brother and gets sent off to the land of Nod, and he's marked with dark skin, which marks him for his sin, and his descendants are supposed to be slaves for the rest of their lives. And I'm
so he's a Jew.
I'm like, so what? Wow, dude, you are literally pulling. It's like me going, I watched a hockey game and a football game, and I decided you're racist.
Well, too, it's also saying that it's like saying Mother Goose is an allegory for, like you're assuming the Bible's true, not a collection of stories.
Well, right, but also if it's an allegory, which I'm sure. I don't know how you can define what anything is in Dungeons and Dragons because it's whoever's writing it, whatever edition you have. I mean,
the rule book literally tells you this is just a guideline.
Right.
You are only limited by your imagination.
But if we're talking about just like science fiction and fantasy fiction in general, all of that is allegories for things that happen in the real world. All of it is. And that doesn't mean that you should as a matter of fact, you remove orcs, then your whole allegory falls apart. You don't have an allegory.
Boom. But hey, what? Who am I compared to these people, I don't know, whatever you would call them. I don't know what, because I'm sure that they have their pronouns listed all over the place and they're super creative with them. Whatever this group of people that are behind this movement. And you know what? Here's the thing. Here's what really pisses me off. It's probably literally 2,000-3,000 people online. But the right person saw the right story at the right time and printed it. And yes, I do run in nerd circles and it hit in a down. If this was believe me, if that story had happened the same day Microsoft bought Bethesda, I wouldn't know anything about that story. Because Microsoft buying Bethesda was the biggest story in nerd culture and still is. And it's been a week. Okay. No one knows anything else. Sony's PS5 buried underneath that story. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, like, they're just now starting to talk about the PS5, and they had their fucking release day the day before Microsoft announced they bought Bethesda. And if you're a video game nerd, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's big fucking $7.5 billion is big news anyways. But yeah, that's what they.
Billion. I'm fine. Like, your opinion is your opinion, and let's listen to it and hear what you have to say. That's fine. The call to action based on just your opinion is ridiculous, and it's just complaining and not actually doing. So, what I'd rather read about is a creator doing a story in a fantasy world or in the D&D world or whatever, and they're going to go, yeah, orcs are black people. So let's write them like that, and let's give them a good story.
So I'm reading from comicbook.com. It's actually orcs are racists. That's why they want them out of the game.
There's
right. So there's your allegory isn't that they're representing black people? They're representing the racists, and that's something that's in the real world, right?
By the way, hold on, Chris. Just so you know, there's many different fandoms. There's many different interpretations of fandoms. You know what I'm saying? Like,
fair enough.
That's one take.
Understood.
And I have seen that take.
But you have to see from Volo's Guide to Monsters, it notes that orcs could only develop a limited capacity for empathy, love, and compassion. And the person,
that's the one they're comparing them to black people.
Well, it's the preface.
Hold it. And I'm like, you think? Okay, first of all, if you think that when you see a black person, if that's the first thought you have is that they have a limited capacity for empathy, love, and compassion, I hate to break it to you. Sit down, strap in. You're racist.
You might be projecting your own racism upon the work.
That's like the first. If I hear the word monkey, first thing I don't think is black person. But I know a lot of so-called woke progressives who are like, oh, you said monkey, that's racist. Wait, you hear the word monkey and you think black person. You're racist. You need to fucking work on that. Don't fucking project that shit on the rest of us. Like, seriously, I don't get that shit. Don't come at me miss me with that bullshit. Period. End of story. Don't put on me your hangups. I got my own, and I got a lot. All right, so leave me the fuck alone. I don't need any more on that fucking plate.
I think in general, if you're not finding the representation that you want in fiction of any sort, you're not looking hard enough. And if you have looked hard enough and still haven't found it, then you need to start writing it yourself.
Well, Aaron, perfect. Yes, exactly. And I was about to, one of the fandoms I've been getting into is, or God, I hate that we call it fandoms now, but that's what it is the whole Warhammer 40K thing. And, you know, there's a lot of people coming in because it's I found it a year and a half ago, whatever. Apparently now it's like on the cusp of being huge because there's a television show coming out and all this shit. And so I was like like a cunt hair right before the shit really was taken off. So I read a lot of the old timers who've been into the fandom's take on it, and a lot of younger people who had no interest in this before come in and they're like, hey, why are Space Marines only men? Well, because in the lore, it's a genetic trait that men have lets them be augmented into Space Marines. Well, why can't women be Space Marines? I just explained that to you because in the lore, well, where are women? They're called the Sisters of Battle. And by the way, they're non-augmented and they can fuck Space Marines up. They're better without being super soldiers than the super soldiers. So why do they have to like shoehorn female Space Marines in? And believe me, Games Workshop, who runs the Warhammer franchise, they have a thing called the Black Library. They actually, fan fiction is welcome. They put out like collections of short stories. And if you're good enough, they'll publish your book. They'll make it canon. So if you are, why don't, you know what I'm saying? Instead of coming into a fandom and going, well, I don't see something that represents me exactly, so this needs to change. Why don't you write something about the lore and the fucking canon that's already been established? And here's the beauty of Warhammer. Because of the nature, I'm not going to go into it because I'd be here for 3 hours because I've nerded the fuck out on it that much. Yes, I am a Warhammer geek now. Goddamn right. Anyways, there's a nature of the universe of Warhammer 40K. There's something in it that makes everything canon and not canon at the same time. It's beautiful the way it works. It's kind of like, fuck it. Throw it at the wall and see what sticks.
Well, there's many conversations like this around comic books. You have, characters being rebooted, dying and coming back, their origins rewritten. And there's the constant question of what is actual canon. And, from a corporate standpoint, you ask you ask the editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics what's canon. He's going to show you what's sold because that's what people are accepting as canon. And somebody else might come in and write a conflicting origin for Wolverine. But if that book doesn't fly off the shelves, it ain't canon. The canon is whatever the majority of consumers say it is.
Yeah, and I mean that's part of the fact that as an artist, when you create something, it comes from, I mean, if it's worth the shit, I would hope it comes from a very personal place. You know what I'm saying? So, and you know what you were trying to express with what you created. Case in point, we've all heard the song Alive. That song is part of a trilogy that Eddie Vedder wrote that is a fucked up trilogy. It's the first part. It's a mother who basically kidnaps her son, runs away, marries a man, raises her son as if this man that she's with is his father. That man dies. As he matures and gets older, her son starts looking so much like his father. She sexually molests him. And, that's where is something wrong? She said, blah, blah, blah. You're still alive, she said. And the whole song, is about a fucked up mother-son relationship.
Yeah.
And the I'm still alive is a curse. Like, I'm still here. I shouldn't be. I don't want to be. Yet when the crowd heard it, when the fans heard it and didn't have that understanding, because he would for decades not explain his fucking lyrics.
Right.
They interpreted it himself. It turned into a life-affirming mantra.
Yeah.
And he literally said during VH1 Storytellers, he goes, you, the fans, changed that song not just for you, from what I meant, but changed it for me. That's how come he added the lyric at the end of the song. Every time they play it live, we're all still alive. It's an affirmation of life now, where it was a fucking, let me die. Why am I still here? That's how much the power of interpretation of art, that's how much it art is dependent upon that. Art is not just the intention of the creator, it's the interpretation of the person it's affecting.
Right. Art tells us that if a tree falls in a forest and nobody hears it, it does not make a sound, because art isn't complete until it reaches that final step of the person who's consuming it. You don't have a person to consume the art and evaluate it and have it mean something to them. Well, you have an object floating in space. It's nothing.
Yes. And this is why it's like, once again, going back to the gatekeeping thing, I used to be like, no, that's wrong. Now it's like, well, if you look, you can interpret it any way you want. But if you come in here and start making demands that everybody interpret it, that this is how it is because you feel that way, bro, you walked in the wrong room. Seriously, because it's not. If you want to have a discussion about why you interpret that way and why I interpret it the way I do, I'm down for that. Mm-hmm. I'm down to nerd out for an hour or two. Let's do it.
But like, gatekeeping is a thing that exists, but it's not an issue in my mind, because if somebody is interested in the works of Kurt Vonnegut or the music of Kurt Cobain, you think somebody's going to stop them? That they're going to be criticized online for being a fanboy and go, okay.
Well,
because I'm not gonna, if they're a true fan of that, nothing's going to stop them from enjoying it.
True, and the
gatekeeping does nothing.
The gatekeeping I've ran into that's probably the worst is online video games. And look, whatever. I'm not trying to toot my own horn. It's just the way I am. I don't really talk much in online video games, and which is ironic because I'm diarrhea of the mouth every other time in my life. But it's just like, I don't know them, and but man, you start playing some games, and the minute a female voice comes across the mic, it's half of them trying to fuck her, half of them calling her a cunt. And to me, it's like, I've never treated a female person on the other end any different until they made it a point that I'm a female and you gotta treat me different. Well, now you're just a fucking asshole. Like, I don't treat anyone different on this motherfucker. I don't know where you're from. In fact, I played with a guy for years on one game. I thought he was from Australia. It turns out he's from New Zealand. And then he goes, well, that's funny. I thought you were from Canada. I'm like, I'm from Detroit. And he goes, oh, so you're from Canada South. Yeah. I was like, yeah,
they're pretty close in each respect.
I was like, yeah, no, shittier healthcare, more violence. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. We all root for the Red Wings, though. But I mean, so I've never.
Right, whereas New Zealanders are just Australianers without the racism.
I guess. I don't know. Because I know, like, you got the Aborigines still, and I don't know if even that's the proper. I can't keep up. Everything changes.
No, actually. Well, so Aboriginal is not a proper term because it's the reasoning I heard, and this was in response to them using the term in a Stuff You Should Know podcast, and somebody wrote it and said, it's not really a term of use anymore because it takes a wide variety of different groups of people and kind of throws them under one umbrella of it's
like different
it's
tribes.
Seen as, but it's seen as othering, like they are Aboriginal and we are something else or whatever.
Well, then every classification is othering.
Yeah, classification is othering. You're right.
I mean, so what?
Because by classifying, you're saying, okay, you're also putting yourself in one of those classifications. I'm either this or that.
Isn't the problem the person who perceives the classification as the problem, not the fact that we can?
Well, the problem is racism itself, right? and you're not going to fight it with words. You need actual actions to back that up. So you can change the language to whatever you need, but if you don't address the problem itself, then it's useless.
Well, that's one of the things one of the friends I no longer talk to. One of the things I brought up, they were, oh well, I'm an anti-racist. I'm gonna stamp out racism. I'm like, how you gonna stamp out something that someone feels internally and doesn't have to? You could be sitting next to the most filthy race. You could be sitting next to a racist who's so racist makes Hitler look tolerant, and you wouldn't know it until they told you. How the fuck are you going to stop that?
How about giving W a call and finding out how he did in stamping out terrorism? Because it's basically the same war.
Yeah,
there's nothing that can come of it. You can make progress. You can fight racism. I'm not saying that. You can fight terrorism. You can fight racism, and you should. The folly is in believing that you can end things.
Well, you mean painting end racism in an end zone at a football game isn't going to fix it?
No, I know the NFL knows that, just like I know that the NFL knows that taking money from the federal government and the military to have Military Respect Day and play the national anthem on television isn't going to make us more patriotic. It just makes me get up and go to the bathroom at that point. I don't care. I've heard this fucking song. I don't care. It's such it's dumb shit. Simple minds are preoccupied by symbols. I don't want a symbol. Give me something real. I need something real. What's underneath that symbol? And if it's just a bunch of fucking bullshit hot air, give a fuck. I don't care about a slogan. What's behind the slogan? Is it something real? And by the way, real doesn't mean I have to agree with it. Like I said, and I know this ain't gonna make me popular, but I already said it earlier in the show, so fuck it. I might as well go fucking 100%. When I said fuck Black Lives Matter, the organization, you go to their website, they changed their website. That website was put up in 2014. That website said that unapologetically, they were out here to destroy the Western way of life, the Western nuclear family, dismantle. Now all of a sudden that's gone. Why is that gone? Is it because it's now more mainstream and you know that shit ain't gonna fly with Joe Blow, middle America? Because what's wrong with wanting to have a wife, a husband, and a couple kids, and your kids to do better than you did? What's wrong with that? Why does that need to be dismantled? Why do we need to deconstruct everything? Cut it out, Alan Moore. Stop deconstructing everything.
Yeah. I think, at a certain point, these movements, if they want to eventually cohere into a strong political movement, there has to be that chrysalis moment where you become something else. You evolve, right? Because, and just talking about organizationally, not talking about any of the motives or anything behind it, but Black Lives Matter is very much like the Tea Party, right? Tea Party was kind of a catch-all for a bunch of people who were
pissed off about Obama being in office. Let's be honest.
Yes.
Let's be honest.
Right. Now, they never quite got there, but they did eventually towards the end start organizing and getting some coherent principles and everything. But the problem is that they wanted to keep that Tea Party moniker because it meant something, right? It was an easy catch-all that people can, oh, you're Tea Party, oh, you're conservative, oh, I should be with you, And that's what Black Lives Matter is doing as well. Whereas, Black Lives Matter was kind of a catch-all of like people who, that was the thing, like what do they actually want? Nobody knows because they're not organized. And now that they are finally starting to organize themselves, I think you need to shed yourselves of that Black Lives Matter name and redefine yourself if you want to be taken seriously.
Well, it's just like the whole defund the police. That's a horrible slogan.
Yep.
I talked to my buddy who's a cop about a month ago, and I brought up a lot of the things that we've talked about on the show, and he's like, I absolutely agree with you guys. Absolutely. But defund the police, no one's going to get behind that. And I mean, he goes, some people are going to get behind that. The majority of people are going to be like, fuck no. He was a Detroit cop. He's like, you go into Detroit, the average citizen wants more police, meaning not necessarily a more militaristic police presence, but they want to be able to call the cops and have them there like they have them in the suburbs, which, I mean, I know I snapped my fingers.
That's laughable in the city of Detroit.
But that doesn't happen in the suburbs anyways. But like 5-10 minutes, that's not asking too much. You'll spend 2-3 hours waiting, if they show up at all. In Detroit, I've seen it. I lived in Detroit. I witnessed it. It's happened to me, all right? And he's like, you go to the neighborhoods in Detroit, and they're tired of the crime. They're tired of the bullshit. Now, yeah, they might have different outlooks on how to end the crime, a.k.a. can we not have, like, no-knock raids where we shoot dogs and beat everybody's ass over a fucking pound of weed? Really? Well, we took care of that problem, supposedly. What's the next problem? You know what I'm saying? Let's move on. Let's move on from here. Why don't we solve problems instead of bitching about what we don't want, we don't like and don't want? And I told him, I was like, dude, I'm with you. I think defund the police is restructure the police much better. Defund the police, it has a ring to it to the people who are like, man, fuck the police, especially the upper middle class, mid six figures white people who grew up listening to fucking, hearing stories about their parents growing up listening to, NWA and Public Enemy and X-Clan. So they're like, ooh.
You say defund the police, you lose the suburbs. They're with you till you start talking that. Because people live in the suburbs because they don't want to deal with the shit of living in the city.
Well, guys, now where I'm delivering is all over, all right? From the nature of my job now, I'm delivering all over Wayne County. There are huge subdivisions of middle-class black families that live just like if I said the stereotypical middle-class white family suburb, it's exactly the same. As far as houses, conditions, kids riding bikes down the streets and shit. Aaron, I brought it up to you one time. I was like, "Wait, your kids can't your kids can't ride their bikes from their mom's house to your place?" And he's like, "And you said, yeah, if it was 1985." Well, it's 1985 in these fucking subdivisions, in these suburbs, and it's nothing but black families. If you go in there talking that fucking defund the police bullshit, talking that nonsense that these yes, privileged upper middle class white people are sitting here fucking popping that good shit. Let them go in there and say that to them. They'll be like, first of all, get your white ass out of my neighborhood. Second of all, fuck you. We like the fact that our kids can go play until 8, 9 o'clock at night with other kids, and we ain't got to worry about crazy shit. We like that.
If I accidentally leave my car unlocked, I like having the peace of mind that, hey, everything's going to be in there in the morning. The car's going to be there.
Right.
What's wrong with wanting a better life? Why is that wrong? And I understand that most people are going, nothing's wrong with that. I get that. But there's a very vocal group of malcontents who are small, but they're very vocal, who are like that. But other people have it harder than you. Yeah. And you know what? You still live in America.
It's the world. Yeah.
And you're still bitching about the plight of you in America on the internet, on your fucking Apple fucking iPhone.
Well, if we do what I think should be a proper defunding of the police, it doesn't affect the suburbs. We're talking about inner cities, and instead of we expect police to deal with mental illness and homelessness, which that Venn diagram's almost a circle, and in order to give them more resources to deal with those problems, we just keep throwing money at them.
Yeah, well, that guy in Rochester, I forget his name, but his brother called the cops because he didn't know who else to call.
Yeah, who do you call? Right? We don't have any organized way to deal with mental illness. So if we properly defund the police, it means stop just dumping money on them to buy more weapons and training for those weapons and all this shit, and start looking at what their actual job description is and what they find themselves doing on a daily basis. Because those two circles in that Venn diagram barely overlap.
Well, I'll say
the idea of what we have and what cops do and what we see on TV and what we read in the papers and what we see in cops doesn't really jive with what their daily duties are, the things that they are forced to deal with.
I'll say this. There was an incident here in Westland a few months ago. Middle of the night, very busy intersection. Very busy. There was a car on fire. Middle of the intersection. And cops roll up. And there's a guy in the car. And Aaron, you might have posted the story.
Yeah, dude. Well, I think Chris and I maybe talked about this dude on the Weedsman. This was the guy who had locked his arms into the steering wheel and was refusing to be removed from his vehicle.
And he was on some obviously good
and
shit.
His car caught fire because he was doing donuts endlessly in the middle of an intersection while people waited for him to stop until his car eventually overheated and caught fire.
Yo, all I'm saying is anyone in Westland who had that shit, okay, hit me up on the dark web. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be that high.
Dude, he was on that Walter White.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I mean, if it's ice, I don't want
this
that.
This is a meth crime, yeah.
Oh, no. I thought he was like on some like hallucinogens. I'm like, I can handle my I'm used to seeing the sky split open and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been on that much acid. That's fine.
I don't know the toxicology report on that one, but
yeah, long story
short, confirm it's meth related in some fashion.
The car was on fire. He refused to get out. They got him out. He's alive. I'm sure he has some sort of criminal charge, but he's probably found guilty of it, and it's probably like as long as he gets treatment, mental, drug, and he fulfills it, he won't have to do time. The area that happened in, that's progressive as fuck. That guy didn't end up with more holes in him than Swiss cheese. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. Okay? Westland used to be fuck around, find out. You know, like seriously. Like, you did not fuck with Westland authority. Period. End of story. And I'm not saying he fucked with them, but the fact that they were like, instead of, well, let's just kill this motherfucker. And he survived. He's at least given the opportunity. Now, if he doesn't take advantage of those opportunities for help, well, then throw his ass in jail, I guess. I don't know what else to do with it at that point.
Well, not even just kill him. Like, they could have just went, okay, let's go get a box of donuts and watch this car burn down, and then we can remove everything once it's done.
At the end of it, be like, wow, it looks like a fucking Rob Zombie movie. Pull that fucking corpse out. I need a Halloween's coming up. I need a lawn decoration.
Jesus.
Hey, whatever. It is what it is, man. Hey, by the way, we're coming up on it. Yeah.
That's a gross note to go out on. But hey, so didn't really struggle for a show this week. That's how it goes. It's good to be back. Hit us up on Twitter at @unregimentedpod. Unregimented at ChristopherMedia.net is the email. Go to ChristopherMedia.net. There's an Amazon banner you can click, so when you're ordering everything online, you can help us out without spending anything extra. If you want to, give us a couple bucks, just cause. You can hit the PayPal button, and then we're Bezos bitches now. We're in the Amazon Music's in the podcast game. We are available there. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker.com, the iHeartRadio app, ChristopherMedia.net. Anywhere that you listen to a podcast, that's where you can find us. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Later, guys.
Progressive presents The Sounds of the Old World. The year is 2019, and someone is getting up to use the bathroom at the stadium.
Excuse me? Excuse me? Oh, sorry. Excuse me? You mind if I just squeeze by here?
This has been The Sounds of the Old World. Brought to you by Progressive, where drivers can still switch and save like it's 2019.
Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth. And always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Unregimented. ChristopherMedia.net.